We've covered an awful lot of ground and even speculated at what the future of SEO might entail. At this point, you may be wondering where to start and how to put everything you've learned into action. So let's simplify for a moment, shall we? Here are our key takeaways. First off, Google is getting smarter to the point of becoming an AI with a lot of personal information about its users. Google is increasingly understanding what content actually means rather than just what it says. You should not try to trick Google. Work with Google to provide your users with the most relevant, well-informed and entertaining answers to their questions. Prove that you are trustworthy by connecting as closely as possible to high authority sites. Use structured data to further explain your posts. Don't keyword stuff. Write naturally using synonyms, relevant terms, and lots of nouns. Build a brand and focus on consistent quality. Post regularly and build the trust of your users with content marketing. Use guest posts and aim for the sites that have Google's trust already. Think of SEO as one small part of a much more cohesive marketing strategy. Combine excellent posts with social sharing and link bait. And finally, measure and monitor what is working and update your strategy on the fly. Another tip is to make sure you do your research and examine which terms to target before you set out. But even more important than that is to choose the right niche. This means picking a niche that has a large enough appeal to give you a big market, but at the same time, it means picking a niche that won't be too competitive for you to make any dent in. Look for subject matters that cater to a specific audience and that people can really get passionate about. And make sure that you are passionate about it too, because when you really love what you're writing about, all the high quality content, all the great connections, and all the consistency really come to the fore. Stop looking for quick wins and focus on building a trustworthy brand filled with incredible information. If you do that and you do just the smallest bit of marketing to give yourself a push, then Google's algorithm should do the rest and reward your enthusiasm. Because some SEO tactics take a while to bring traffic to your site, sometimes it's hard to track whether your SEO campaign is working or not, especially if you're outsourcing the process to an SEO company. One thing you can do, though, is to ask the SEO company to provide you with the metrics regarding the SEO campaign, and some of these metrics can be more useful than others. You can ask for the number of links that have been built, for instance. Ask for the page rank of the pages where those links have been built, although page rank is now largely a depreciated measure. And use everything you've learned in this video series to ensure that those are high quality links and not just link spam. You need to think about long-term results, not a short-term boost. And you can track changes in your position in the SERPs, that's the search engine results pages. Many SEO companies will use tracking software which lets them see your site climbing the rankings for different terms over time. They can use these to deliver you a report showing how your site has climbed since their intervention. If you're handling your own SEO, you might still choose to use a tracking tool in order to keep an eye on your success over time and ensure that your efforts are getting results. But what does any of this tell you? Because here's something else to consider. Getting to the top of Google is not the end goal. Even if you get to the top of Google, there's no guarantee this will bring more profits for your business because you need to ensure that the people finding your content are targeted and that those people are converting. Or to put it another way, all that really matters is the bottom line. If you're a business and you're paying for SEO, you'll need to know that you're getting more sales because of that SEO and you're earning more money. This way, the SEO is offering ROI, which means it's been money well spent. Savvy companies track the ROI of their SEO spend by using a tool called Google Analytics. This is the most well known analytics tool for webmasters and marketers, and one particularly useful feature it has is the ability to set a goal and then track the traffic that makes it to that goal. If you're trying to sell a product, your goal might be the thank you page people get directed to after a purchase. This allows you to see not only that you're getting more traffic, but also that you're getting more targeted traffic that's actually converting. Better yet, Google Analytics will be able to tell you where those converting visitors come from. And specifically, you'll be able to see if someone who used your search term eventually ended up buying your product. These are people who have bought products from you because of your SEO efforts. If you hire an SEO company to help you rank for a certain search term, you're probably missing the point. A better way to approach this is to hire an SEO company to help you increase your profits or your brand awareness. Thus, the very best SEO companies are those which use a combination of different marketing tools, combining everything from SEO to social media to brand management. Part of this is choosing the right search terms. So, if you let your SEO company choose your search term and they don't increase your profits, they might be good at ranking, but it's not a good strategy. It's important to know whether ranking for the particular phrase you're interested in is actually going to translate into tangible results. The same is true if you're doing SEO on your own. And one way you can check how successful your SEO is likely to be before you spend lots of time and/or money on it is to use PPC. PPC is, of course, pay-per-click. This is a type of advertising that involves paying each time someone clicks on an advert and visits your site. The two most popular PPC choices right now are Google AdWords and Facebook ads. It's equally important that you use analytics in your own SEO campaigns for the very same reasons. Good SEO is about constant iteration and seeing which actions are having the best impact on your tracking. Struggling to rank for a certain term? Then you can consider aiming for another one. Finding that people from an unexpected search term are converting more highly than those from other search terms? Then it might be time to switch gear and start trying to rank for that phrase instead. Setting up Google Analytics is thankfully rather simple. First, you need to head over to Google Analytics, which is google.com/analytics. And then you'll need to add a small tracking code to each page of your site. If you're using WordPress, you can also use a plugin to do this. Then you can set up your view, which will let you choose which stats you want to look at. Some useful things to look at here are your audience overview, and this is key data regarding who is looking at your site, which can help you to better target specific demographics. Acquisition, this is where your traffic's coming from. Real time, which shows you how many people are on your site right now, and the aforementioned goals. With what we've covered so far, you should now know everything you need to know in order to begin a modern and effective SEO campaign. The problem, though, is that, as we've already mentioned, SEO is something that is constantly evolving and changing. We already know that Google has a lot planned for its search algorithm in the future. And the first big change we can expect to see going forward is the introduction of a real-time algorithm. This means any changes made to your site's SEO might be reflected immediately in the search results. This is expected to affect Penguin predominantly, which means it will have the biggest influence on inbound links and whether your backlink profile is mainly made up of high-quality links or spam. In this case, adding a spam link to your site could result in an immediate downgrade to your ranking. Likewise, though, the reverse could also be true. Using the disavow tool could help you to see an immediate recovery, while a very good link could result in an immediate boost to your site. It's also not too much of a stretch to expect that in future we might see this start to apply to other aspects of SEO, including the ranking of sites and pages. We already see newspaper stories appear very quickly in Google's search results. So, what should you do to make sure that you'll benefit from these changes? How can you future proof your site in this regard? Well, one tip will be to stay on top of your links disavowing and to make sure you're constantly adding links and removing the unnecessary ones. In the future, bigger sites may need to have a whole dedicated team working on keeping their links profile healthy around the clock. Likewise, make sure to keep updating your site regularly and to keep the date as a schema in all your content. One good way to know what's coming in the world of SEO is to keep your eyes peeled to industry news sites and specifically to Google's own blog. Another is to think about the direction that Google is heading in and to try and guess what its larger plans are. And right now, everything is pointing towards a heavy investment in voice search and AI. Google is not just a search tool. With the capability of reading and understanding human language, Google is an AI. And what's more, it's shaping the way we develop our content, whether we like it or not. And it is embracing this more and more with each new update and each new product. Google Now is the name of Google's assistant service that combines search, digital assistant, and all the data that Google collects about us into one incredible tool. This is the real reason Google had to move towards latent semantic indexing. It needed to understand the content rather than just look for matches. And this is why Google needed to start using rich snippets and structured data so that it could understand the key facts from the web. This is what allows Google to use its quick answers box. Ask Google, how old is Barack Obama? And it won't just bring up a website. It will tell you. And Google also has localization and previous query functions. These allow it to suggest searches based on what you had previously searched for. For example, if you often research a particular celebrity, then in the future, Google might recommend searches relating to that celebrity. Google's personalized search also takes this into account, while its local search ensures that it will also be able to find results that are relevant to the area you're in. All of this combines when you use Google Now via voice search through Google Allo or Google's new Pixel phones. Here, you're able to conversationally ask Google what time it is, what the highest mountain in the world is, how high is it exactly, all that sort of stuff. This is the direction that Google is moving in, but what does it mean for the future of SEO? Will creators miss out when Google starts providing visitors with answers without them needing to visit our pages? For now, creators can start to focus on the Google Knowledge Graph, which is what powers many of the more complex components on the SERPs. Use semantic markups to ensure that Google will be able to find the answers to your questions. Build authority so that Google will know to trust your site, and try to use nouns in your language to make it machine readable. Being featured in Wikipedia is also thought to be useful for KGO, that's Knowledge Graph Optimization. Linking out to quality resources is also thought to be good for your KGO. Will you gain visitors from being featured in the Knowledge Graph? Well, perhaps not. But this is certainly an indication that you've gained Google's trust, and that can do a lot to help improve your brand awareness and to gain more trust from the users as well. For those reasons, it's certainly a worthy goal.